So I've had a few situations where I've gone into a bar with or without my friends. I've just wanted, a quick drink, and a guy will come up to me and I'll kind of think, oh wow, he's interested, and get ready for a really cool conversation. And quite often before that person even says hello to me, they'll ask me whether or not I can have sex.
She helps me with everything and I can help her with everything, and we just really connect, and that's what I have never had that before with anyone. And to get that at my age I think it's really rare. And to have that and feel like you found someone who's perfect for you is just the most amazing feeling I have ever had.
Disabled people have absolutely the same desires, ambitions, fears like everybody else, and sex for them has the same importance as for non-disabled people.
What's even worse than people's opinions and perceptions that it's not, it would be more normal, so to say, that a non-disabled person dates another disabled person. And at times they were quite surprised when I look at my girlfriend and they say, well, but there's nothing wrong with her. They expected that she would be disabled for some reason. It fits the normal picture that society has.
My disability made me a bit shy, especially because I grew up in a society which was not really or didn't accept me as I was, or they didn't want to see my abilities, just my disability, let's say that.
The situation is that disabled people are continuously provided with messages of you're a burden, you're not valued, you're affecting the productivity of society, you're a strain on resources, etc. You should be segregated in various institutions, etc.
When people don't see you as an equal, you are isolated then. And if you are isolated, you can commit suicide or something like that.
Until the age of 18 or 20, I thought that no girl will be interested in me, and I'm ugly, and I'm not attractive, and people will not like to be around me.
I will want to have kids or children, but I think that I will have cats and dogs, and I will be all alone.
I think it's more taboo than having sex and being disabled already is. It's also more taboo to be also homosexual. It sounds really terrible when I say it, but it's the fact. And because we heard it a lot. I was talking about that I'm in a relationship with Joy and I was disabled, and a lot of people here were like, oh, you're in a relationship, oh. And it was like, they also were like thinking like, oh, it's a taboo, we can't talk about it, it's weird to have both. And I don't think it's weird to have both, because I'm just a person and we are just a person, and we are just human, and I'm just in love with Joy.
So I was with my ex-boyfriend for a good amount of time, over 3 years. He was totally able-bodied. We had an absolutely brilliant relationship. We lived together, and we went travelling for a month. And everything was going great. You know, he'd got time off work. It was really going to be our holiday of the year, where we would really spend all this time together and really create a connection that I think you lose through the 9 to 5 every day, boring stuff. So it was going really, really well. And then we both started arguing a little bit. We became quite distant from each other. And we went out for a meal one night, and I just kind of said, you know what's wrong? Tell me what's going on. You can talk to me about anything. and he must have been bottling it up for quite a few days, and he just said that he felt more like my carer than my boyfriend, that he'd realised through the inaccessibility of this place how disabled I was, that he didn't find me sexually attractive anymore, didn't want to be intimate with me anymore, and that he sees me as a really strong woman in the UK that changes perceptions, but saw me as really weak whilst we were out there. It really broke my heart. It really broke my heart. And I think possibly through my naivety, as a disabled woman, I've always been very conscious about being able to get into relationships. I've always known that going to a club and dancing isn't going to do me any favours because, let's face it, if you want a one-night stand, the likelihood is you're not going to choose a girl in a wheelchair because it's just not as practical and easy. So I've always known that actually finding a relationship might be quite difficult for me, but I kind of just thought that we were together and we were solid and that was it. So it really hit me hard because I was so comfortable in the relationship and we'd shared everything. So yeah, it's definitely shown my disability to me in a different light, and I feel like I've regressed a few years and I've got to build up my sexual and social confidence again, but I know I will.
With what Emily said, I can't. It's just heartbreaking to hear that after 3 years you just fuck someone over like that, knowing someone like that, and then saying, yeah, fuck you, I'm leaving. It's the cruelest thing I've ever heard.
When I was 14 or 15, I remember laying in bed at night and worrying that I'd never get a boyfriend, worrying that I'd never have sex, thinking that all my friends were doing it and I wasn't. And I think I've always just managed to be really true to myself, and I've had to exercise patience. And by almost having that time and that breathing space to work on myself and what I want, I now have really high expectations of a relationship because I know that I'm going to be all right without one. And that's a really flipping cool position to be in.
When we talk about physical attraction, the body expression is very important. And people regularly, they're used to judge on that. So just deal with it. I don't know, it's not nice, but you have to.
So this is the way that I guess I see my disability in my wheelchair. And we like to call it the tosser filter. So I go into a club, I have a bit of a dance, I buy a drink. I know realistically, and don't get me wrong, it does happen, but I know in the back of my mind realistically that I'm probably not going to pull that night. I realistically know that it probably won't happen. Because, let's be honest, people that go to clubs to pull, they want a shag, don't they? And let's be honest, it's not the easiest thing to do in the world than to shag a disabled person. It's just not the easiest thing. So either you don't pull at all, or you get tossers coming up to you that before they even say hi, will ask you whether or not you can have sex. So I know that club environment isn't anything for me. However, I know that I could come to a conference and I would be hitting every answer on that head, and people will think, wow, she knows her stuff, she's quite interesting, pull. And that's how it is. To me, it's not about disability being asexual or non-sexual or unattractive. It's about, okay, so our external views of disability and our aesthetic view of disability still needs to change in society. And yes, right now, it isn't seen as that sexual by society. However, if people take the time to get to know the person away from the disability, or even better, they're able to, okay, say, yes, she's disabled, but she's also really sexy, then that's how it goes. Don't get me wrong, I'd love us to get to a point where I could go into a club and men would be flocking me. And we're not there yet, but we are at a point where people are realising that this sexualisation in society isn't all it's cracked up to be. So they're willing to look behind that disability that society says not very desirable, and they're able to look at that person and think, wow, they're interesting, they've got a story to tell, we really connect. And that's where sex and relationships can flourish from there. I think everybody wants to feel attractive and everybody wants to feel desired, and of course I want to feel that. Of course I want to go into a room and have people looking at me. Of course, because that's what builds your confidence and that's what makes you feel good about yourself. Do I want to settle down and get married and have children? No. Would I give my career up for a relationship? Quite possibly not, if I'm perfectly honest, because I'm 24 years old and I've got another 10 years of my life before I need to start worrying about that. So to be totally honest with myself, I'm really comfortable with where I'm at. I'm really driven to be the best person that I can be and to be really comfortable and confident with myself before I let anybody else in. But do I want to have fun and do I want to get to know people and do I want to make connections? Of course I do.
The people who have gathered here, they want to do something, and they want to do something more than what they are doing in their daily lives. I think each of them has their own story, which is unique, complex, sometimes painful, but sometimes also joyful, because it ends well, in a sense. So the fact that they are here is not only to say, to do a self-help group, in a sense. That's not what we're doing here. What we're doing here is we're seeing from the point of view of active people and people that have been through things, how things can get better. If young activists working with young disabled people think that sexuality and relationship is something is important for disabled people's inclusion, we are happy to host it. And the way it is framed is in the framework of human rights. So this is why this is important for us. We also think that the study session is an opportunity for youth participation, which is one of our values. So if disabled young people come together to discuss something important for them and they plan to do something about it afterwards, this is the right place to host it.
This is the third annual study session in cooperation with the Council of Europe. And we chose that particular topic because people want to speak about that, and that's great. We do it because during the first two study sessions, participants said numerous times that they want to speak about sex. And that's why we do it, because it's part of who we are. It's a human right, and that's what we work on. Sex is sort of taboo topic and private, as you said, for non-disabled people. And imagine what it is for disabled people. That's kind of forbidden and very much underestimated topic in the public discourse. And it definitely needs to be talked about.
So the key themes for this study session is around our understanding of what does disability mean, because we can't take it for granted that it's a universal construct. It's interpreted in many different ways. So we want to be clear, what do we actually mean by disability and impairment? Then we look at actual issues around the position of disabled people within society, and thinking about some of those issues which we've discussed previously, the politicization of disabled people and so forth. And then we've started to drill down further into issues of sexuality, access to relationships, and actually how does that affect the development of our identities. So you could see it in three levels: the individual's experience of the issues that we're looking at, the collective group and the communities that we exist within and we want to be a part of, and then the wider societal framework that exists, which focuses and impacts on the development of everybody's identity as part of society. These are issues that have been dismissed continuously by the dominant ideologies that we live in. So we perceive disabled people as not being valued members of our families in terms of having leadership roles within our families. We don't see disabled people as on the whole, we don't see them as sexualized beings. We see them as asexual, or people that we would not want to have a relationship with. So what you're seeing through this conversation is that for many people coming to this environment, to the study session, from different backgrounds, different impairment groups, different social classes, different countries, etc., different experiences. But what you're seeing is, you're seeing a discussion which actually allows people to bring about their personal experiences with the topic.
when I date a girl without disability, that sometimes people perceive it or they act like I won the gold medal at Olympics, which really reveals their secret opinions, like disabled person don't deserve another non-disabled partner.
But I think that my disability has an impact in my mind. It's only in my mind, not in other person. And this has affected me and my relationship, because there are some days I'm depressed, I'm sad, you know. And other days I'm, oh yeah, very happy, very good.
Some people are simply a bit afraid to tell the truth, especially when we're talking about girls that I have been dating. There were cases that, for example, I can tell about one girl that I dated her. From the date, I thought that she was okay with it, because she said, okay, I'm okay, all is well, it's no problem. But then she just texted me after the meeting that she was terrified and she was really perplexed, and she just could keep the tension inside and not show it. So yes, I have been having problems with this.
We are all sexual beings. If you are disabled, it doesn't mean that you don't like sex or whatever. So I think it's really important to break that taboo around it.
It was also very important for me. I have never told him before, I guess, that how will his family react to me if they see me? I was afraid of that. What will his mother say? That, oh, just look at that girl, she can't even walk. What are you doing, my son? Or he has a bigger family than me. So I was really afraid of their reaction. What will they say? Whether they can accept it or not. And what are his feelings about it? If he's comfortable with me just to go out in the street and show that, now here is the girl I chose.
There's a beautiful familiarity that comes with dating another disabled person, and there are brilliant things such as you will purposefully and obviously go to somewhere that's accessible for your days out. You know, you won't even need to think about, will this be appropriate for us, because you would never ever dream of going somewhere that isn't. You're fully aware of each other's fatigue, each other's capabilities and limitations, and a lot of things can really go unsaid because you don't need to explain yourself all the time. I've had great sex with disabled people, and it's not always been penetrative sex, but it's always been really sensual and sexual, and I've learned a lot about my body through dating other disabled people. And actually, you know what, sometimes they're better at sex because they're not just wham bam thank you man. It's all about, you know, the rest of it, and it's all about the body and exploring each other, and that's really cool. However, being with an able-bodied partner is also really interesting because for me it really challenges me. I can get quite complacent sometimes when things are quite easy, and I need to be constantly challenged to do things. I need to be, you know, really stimulated emotionally and physically as well as sexually, and I feel that an able-bodied partner does that kind of automatically because they're already, if you like it, physically a level up from you. So you're constantly trying to catch up and trying to experience new things with that person because you want to have common interests and you want to have familiarity. So I think both have very, very good points, and I don't think it's up for us to kind of encourage or discourage a relationship with a disabled person or with a non-disabled person because each one works beautifully in different ways.
Sometimes I get to know some girls on the social media as well. So I always feel this need inside to tell them about it before the meeting because I feel sort of tense that I'm hiding something, that I'm not myself. I'm not appearing like I am. Because on the pictures in Facebook or other sites, I don't have my hands open and showing. I don't have it. Maybe in the future I will build the confidence to do it. I don't know. So the girls sometimes get the impression that, oh, this is a good-looking guy. He's all is well. He's tall. He's good. So let's talk to him. And we talk, and it's always on my mind that she doesn't know it. She doesn't know it. Maybe if she knows, she would be disappointed. I don't know this girl. I don't know how she would react. Let's not have hopes with her. I'm telling myself that you don't know what can happen, and sometimes it happens that they know it and they just turn around. But a lot of times I found myself, so to say, personalizing, because some people turn around for me for other reasons. For example, for one of my characters or anything, but I used to personalize that, it's because of that, it's because of that, it's because of that, yes, I'm bad, I'm unattractive, it's because, tell me that this is because of that, and recently I'm working on this, to understand that I have some false beliefs about it, that I think that everybody is concentrated on it, and when they turn around for me, it's only for that reason, and I was victimizing, so to say.
It's more easier to have a relationship, and a man have a relationship with me. It's more difficult to marry with me, because maybe she think that my disability will getting worse and worse and worse, and maybe someday I won't see or hear at all.
Random people tell me you're doing a good job and in taking care of your girlfriend, and it's the most uncomfortable feeling I get when they tell me these things. Because I think it's not necessary to compliment someone when you're taking care of your girlfriend. It should be normal, exactly.
So I don't think that he sees me as someone who needs protection or needs to be saved.
I do think that there's a particular awkwardness around disability and sex, and I do think that so many people worry about being offensive or being patronising, and often they don't have that conversation at all. And first of all, that's really worrying. But secondly, the flip side, and the side that I've experienced with guys talking to me in a bar, is that they want to have the conversation and they're interested and intrigued by the disability, but almost they get too intrigued, so that kind of sensitive barrier that everyone should have when they chat to someone new kind of fades away, is kind of broken. And those two flip sides are equally as damaging, I think. So what we need to learn to do is we need to learn to educate ourselves in terms of disability and sex, so it's not such a taboo, and so that those two things can be spoken about in a really sensitive and kind manner without any kind of previous excitement or worry about being offensive.
She told me that much time taking care of her. She will need all your time.
What are you doing every day? Because she can't move.
What?
What are you doing every day? She can't move.
We do whatever.
Does she speak at least?
There is an argument that actually our whole conversation on disability goes back to the point of eugenics. And actually you can see throughout the history of looking at disability, time and time again, the question has been, should disabled people exist? And when they do exist, should they be given their rights? We've seen that on the left, we've seen that on the right, we've seen that across the world.
I think we can look at disability and sexuality quite scientifically, and we can look at the situation of its survival of the fittest. Looking at me, I think it would be quite fair to say that somebody wouldn't particularly look at me and think, oh, she's going to be the mother of my child, and that's absolutely fair enough. But I do think that there are huge issues with societal views, and I think a huge problem is that the media, celebrities, all of these kind of people, they have put a norm into society. They have put a norm of pale male straight people, and the problem is that disability doesn't feature at all. It never ever features. So when something is so out of the norm and so societally wrong, it's very difficult to find it attractive. And that's what we need to change. You know, we need to have further representation. People with disabilities need to be on the TV, they need to be writing stuff, they need to be shouting from the rooftops. And that doesn't mean in an aggressive activist way. It means we need to fight for equal rights, but we need to do that through education and understanding.
We are politicizing it because disability is a political construct. It's an issue that has been created, and if you look at the history of disability, it's one that sits within economic and political frameworks. It has been created because society disabled individuals with health conditions, physical impairments, learning disabilities, mental health conditions, etc. They are not disabled by their impairments, they're disabled by the way society is constructed.
When you have to summarize something big in one sentence, it's a bit tricky, but our message is quite simple. Disabled people are having the same rights as non-disabled people, and we don't want to have taboo topics, like sexes usually.
I guess the most important message is disability is not the only identity which matters when you're creating your sexual personal preferences to whom you're going to engage with relationships, but the identity is constructed from many other things.
Yeah, I mean, this conference is run by the European Network of Independent Living, so I think first of all and the most vital thing that we're focusing on is self-acceptance. Because no amount of great sexuality or love or really, really satisfying and fulfilling relationships can come without self-acceptance. And, you know, unfortunately, it's really surprising that many disabled people haven't yet been given that opportunity to be fully accepting of themselves. So that's why it's so flipping brilliant to get a room full of people with different disabilities, different needs, and get us all saying, yeah, we're great. You know, and that's the first thing, that's the most important thing for me. And then from there you can almost step up and you can say, yeah, we're really sexy, and yeah, we want this, and yeah, we're going to have the confidence to say, I want this, and this is what I have a right to. And that's where you get really, really brilliant sex and love and relationships and all the stuff that we all want and we all desire, regardless of who we are, how old we are, what abilities we have and what pushes our buttons.